Available now. Link below.
In tonight's report, we're peeling back the curtain on a story that hits at the very core of our republic's values. Imagine a scenario where the government decides how to use your hard-earned dollars, not for education, not for infrastructure, but for something that could potentially tilt the scales of democracy itself. We're talking about a plan straight from the corridors of power that could change the way that we look at voter registration forever. Now, this isn't just another policy debate. It's a question of integrity, transparency, and the sanctity of every single vote. With allegations of secrecy, manipulation, and a blatant misuse of federal funds, you want to stay with us to the very end because, folks, what we're about to reveal will not only shock you, but might shake your trust in the pillars of our democratic processes. And trust me, you don't want to miss our final thought on why this story matters to every freedom-loving American. Now, before we dive deeper into tonight's groundbreaking report, let's talk about something that hits close to home for all of us. Staying warm without breaking the bank. Just like how we're uncovering the administration's attempt to heat up their voter registration numbers with your tax dollars, I found a way to keep our homes cozy without handing over more cash to those big utility companies. Now, this incredible mini heater I'm using offers a way to beat the system. Imagine getting the warmth you need exactly where you need it while saving money. It's straightforward, no nonsense, just like our reporting. So secure your warmth and your savings right now at a whopping 55% off by visiting getwarmnow.com. Remember, it's about staying smart and ahead, whether it's saving on heating or safeguarding our republic. Now, tonight we stand at a crossroads, not just any crossroads, but one that could very well determine the future of our republic. Now, at the heart of this pivotal moment is a scheme, one that's been crafted with precision by those at the highest echelons of power. The Biden regime, led by none other than Vice President Kamala Harris, has unveiled a plan that ostensibly aims to empower students through federal work-study programs. But the truth? Well, they're being incentivized to register voters. On the surface, it sounds benign, even commendable, but dig a little deeper and the real intent becomes glaringly obvious. This is not about empowering the youth. It's about leveraging federal dollars to cultivate a new crop of voters, one that might sway the balance in favor of the Democrats. Now, let's cut through the rhetoric and call this what it is, a calculated vote farming ploy. It's a move that raises serious questions about the integrity of our electoral process and the sanctity of every vote. Now, our republic thrives on the impartiality of its elections, the bedrock upon which our freedoms stand. But what happens when the lines between impartial electoral participation and partisan maneuvering blur? Now, in a move that's as bold as it is brazen, the vice president met privately with a select group of leaders to push this plan. Officially, it's to protect voting rights, a phrase that in this context seems coded language for ensuring a particular outcome at the ballot box. Now, the audacity to use federal funds, your money and mine, to potentially engineer electoral results under the guise of work-study programs is nothing short of scandalous. Let's take a look at how the vice president unveiled this.
We have been doing work to promote voter participation for students. And, for example, we have, under the federal work-study program, now allow students to get paid through federal work-study to register people and to be nonpartisan poll workers. As we know, this is important for a number of reasons. One, to engage our young leaders in this process and activate them in terms of their ability to strengthen our communities.
Now, in that clip, you heard it straight from the horse's mouth. The administration isn't just tiptoeing around the idea of influencing voter registration. They're charging headfirst into it. But why the secrecy? Why remove the press from the room unless there's something to hide? Well, it's a move that reeks a lack of transparency, a trait all too common in this administration's playbook. Now, the Department of Education, just a day before Harris' announcement, released a memo clarifying that the federal work-study funds could now support voter registration activities. Coincidence? I think not. It's a clear indicator that this plan has been in the works not to educate or empower, but to enlist students in a partisan project disguised as civic engagement. Now let's focus on the consequences. By intertwining federal funds with electoral activities, we're not just opening the door to potential bias, we're inviting it in for dinner. The implications for our republic's future are profound. We're not talking about mere voter engagement or encouraging civic participation, both of which are commendable. No, we're talking about a direct pipeline of federal dollars into activities that could very well skew the electoral landscape. Here's more.
And I
want to thank the press for being here, but also invite the press to exit before we continue the meeting.
Did you hear that, Brian? Let's play that again.
And I want to thank the press for being here, but also invite the press to exit before we continue the meeting.
Invite the press to exit. Thank you for being here. Now leave. So as you just saw, the moment the press is kicked out, the veil of transparency is lifted, revealing the true nature of this initiative. It's not about securing additional Democrat votes in secret as much as it is about manipulating the Democrat process itself. Now let's not forget the context here. This announcement wasn't made in a vacuum. It comes at a time when faith in our electoral system is already under immense strain. Allegations of irregularities, disputes over election results, and now a plan that could potentially tilt the scales? It's a recipe for further eroding trust in our institutions. And while the administration might cloak their intentions in the language of inclusivity and engagement, the subtext is clear. This is about advantage, not altruism. It's a strategy designed to harness the energy and impressionability of young Americans, offering them a financial carrot to serve a partisan agenda. What's perhaps most troubling is the precedent that this sets. Today, it's federal work-study programs for voter registration. Tomorrow, what else could these funds be diverted to under the guise of civic engagement? Where do we draw the line between genuine educational opportunities and political maneuvering? The administration's plan also includes emailing voting instructions to everyone enrolled in the Affordable Care Act and announcing national days of action to promote voting. While on the surface, these initiatives might seem like noble efforts to bolster voter participation, in the context of the broader strategy, they feel more like cogs in a machine designed to secure electoral dominance. Now, in response to this, the vice president's rhetoric has been nothing short of inflammatory. Accusations against Republican states for passing anti-voter laws and voter suppression laws are hurled without restraint. Yet, in the same breath, this administration seeks to implement a plan that could be seen as the ultimate act of voter manipulation. Now, the narrative being pushed is one of protection and empowerment, but the subtext is manipulation and control. By paying students to register voters under federal work study, we're not just blurring lines, we are crossing them. This isn't about making our electoral process more accessible or fair. It's about curating it to fit a particular agenda. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. As we close out this report, let's remember what's at stake here. It's not just about federal funds or voter registration. It's about the integrity of our republic and the trust we place in our electoral system. Now, the scheme unveiled by the Biden regime under the guise of empowering students is a stark reminder of the lengths to which some are willing to go to secure their grip on power. It's a maneuver that not only challenges our principles of fairness and impartiality, but threatens the very fabric of our democratic processes. We must stand vigilant against any attempts to manipulate our sacred right to vote, ensuring that every voice is heard, every vote is counted, and the will of the people prevails. Now, this story matters because the future of our republic depends on it.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Now keep up your quest for truth with this next news report. And if you found our channel enlightening, join the millions who agree with you. Tap subscribe. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.